With only 10 points separating the GTP top 3 and Mickey Friesen on track for a long-coveted championship in GTO, IMSA Vintage turns to an old tradition from the Camel GT days, a moto layout. Will our championship contenders attend and keep their noses clean, or will chaos of IMSA Vintage take hold once again? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 8 of the iRacing IMSA Vintage series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Adam Lindgren, and with me in the booth is Craig King. Our director is Christian Deploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Circuito de Jerez is one of the newer tracks to iRacing, and to find out what makes this place special, let's head down to our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Circuito de Jerez. With a rich history of both open wheel and motorcycle racing, this track has been the center of Spanish motorsports for many years. It can be found at the very southern tip of the country, located just an hour and a half from the Strait of Gibraltar. Its two layouts include 13 or 15 turns over roughly 2 3/4 miles, and the only distinction between them is the inclusion or exclusion of the center chicane. While it's probably best known for its Formula One races in the 80s and 90s, it's now mostly utilized by sports cars and lower-level open-wheelers. A mix of fast sweepers are punctuated by a handful of sharp hairpins, requiring both good mechanical and aero grip for a stable car. Perhaps the most notorious of the turns is Dry Sack, which was recently renamed to Danny Pedrosa after the famous motorcycle champion. But the corner saw Schumacher and Villeneuve decide the 1997 F1 championship by colliding, only to have the Canadian limp his car home to claim the title. Because of the warm climate, winter testing is very popular here. On top of that, the lap length and modern facilities make it ideal for a wide variety of types of racing. Judging by how much use it sees even 40 years after it was built, it certainly shows no sign of slowing down.
Well, Craig, there we see a little bit about Jerez, and this track is a blast to drive in, club vehicles, but how are the IMSA Vintage vehicles going to handle this today, especially the moto layout?
Well, yeah, it might be an FIM track, like you said, an FIM, but Jerez has delivered some cracking racing before, and it's due to the flatness of this track. So that means the GTPs will love this track because it's flat, it's a flowing track full of medium-speed corners, and it's a wide track. But with a wide track comes some tarmac runoffs, and tarmac runoffs mean raised curves and the risk of off-track penalties. What about the GTOs? Well, they do enjoy the track because of the space, but the key thing is to get that nose pointed earlier. As getting the line right helps you on the line to the next corner. It's a momentum track when it comes to GT, or as you say, the club-style racing. Multiclass around here, it has been shown to be a respectful aspect. A delta of roughly 15 seconds, that's kind of normal for the drivers. But it's that moto layout that makes multiclass work here. Adding the Alex Creville here instead of that tight chicane allows more high-speed opportunities, which adds to more overtaking chances, and it just flows better. That's not me being biased. Adam, last time we saw a race here for IMSA Vintage, it was a classic. So on paper, we are looking at another one today.
Absolutely, and on paper, we're looking at some pretty tight championships as well. In the GTPs, Dustin Hiroter leads the championship at 110 points over Aitor Sintes Galindo at 108. And then we've got Andres Valenteus just 10 back of Hiroter at 100 points total as well. So it's just 10 points separating those top three. Brendan Lim is tied with Javier Del Olmo for the 4th position. They're only 16 points back of the championship lead as well, so well within striking distance. Fabian Blue's Seamus Power in a close fight for 6th position, with Jacob Reed and Eric Neath in close fight for 8th. Matthew Cockrum rounds out the top 10 in the GTPs with 57 points behind the leader. But Craig, talk to us about the GTO championship because the story's a little different.
Yeah, story's a little bit different. There's Mickey Friesen. He's leading by 29 points. 29 points is about the average he's getting every race. In fact, he's not won a race. He's either finished 2nd, 3rd, and then one race off the top 3. So he's not won a race, but that consistency over Johan van Hixie, who has done 2 races less, but has 2 victories, is so important. Speaking about important, Noel Lundberg, 4 races, 3 wins. So you get to see how if you keep racing around here, you will get high on the podiums, and on the points. That's not a knock at Mickey Friesen, of course. Around the rest of the field, the usual suspect, but the battles for the rest of the top 5 ever so close. Just look how close it is between 10th, which is Corbin Pollock, all the way up to 5th, which is Josh Brain. That is just a one race difference there. Anything can happen.
Absolutely, and anything can happen this race as well. As we mentioned earlier, it's round 8 of 13 for these drivers actually in this series. It's an extra week that we have to make up for in the course of this season. 40 minutes for these drivers with open setup, setting up the car however they like or dislike. No spare vehicle for them today, and a drive-through at 17 or a disqualification at 25. We don't expect to see much of that today considering the nature of this circuit, but it's entirely possible.
Entirely. It could happen. You never know. We have seen the occasional incident around here, but we're talking incidents that allows you just a small bit of issues, a little bit of damage, and you keep on flowing here, Adam. So anything is possible. We always say never, but I can't imagine we're going to see a lot of that just due to the nature of tracks like this nowadays, 4-tire off-track system, and also the slowdowns.
2 minutes left to go in qualifying. Farron Grau leads the GTPs by only 11 one-thousandths of a second over Javier Del Olmo, who's had a little bit better luck this season than he's had in the past. Brendan Lim is only 2/10 back, and he's in 3rd position provisionally. Noel Lundberg is still running his, he's actually completed both of his qualifying laps, doing some extra laps. He's the current provisional pole sitter in the GTOs by about 9 100ths of a second, exactly 9 100ths of a second over Mickey Friesen. Owe Trangrade rounds out the top 3, only 55 one-thousandths back of Friesen, so very tight in this qualifying battle for all these drivers today.
Yeah, and you see Valenteus now coming across the line straight away, first lap. It's a 22.3. It's almost 4/10 faster than everyone else, and he said, that's fine. I haven't got time for another lap. It's a one and done for him, and that's why he's got the number 1 on his car. That's just how good he is. Jack Wells now is looking at trying to set some laps, and now you just see the difference. We saw the high-speed flowing that Valenteus had at the end of that lap around Lorenzo, and now it's pretty calm for Jack Wells. He'll come across the line. He puts himself 7th, and here's Trey Worley just finishing his lap up. He will finish 18th. I believe that might be all she wrote.
Now, qualifying is important for both classes because of the challenges of the first turn and the last turn. The GTPs will take the first sweeping right-hander, which benefits the pole sitter, but the GTOs have to go through the final hairpin at speed because they're going to take the green flag with a good 2 to 4 second gap to the last of the GTP runners. And with 45 drivers here today, as we're about to find out, that's going to be quite a challenge for them. Still 20 seconds left in qualifying. A challenge for these drivers is going to be the flows of this track. We talked about how the GTOs need to turn in early. The GTPs are going to have a much better time doing the flow of this track, but there's still enough tight corners to make it a challenge. But as we close down on the end of qualifying, we're about to get down to the grid, and Adrius Valenteus is going to lead the grid with Farron Grau next to him in 2nd position in the GTPs. Javier Del Olmo's got lined up behind Valenteus, with Brendan Lim lining up behind Farron Grau on the 2nd row. Ivan Platten is going to line up in the 5th position, with Laust Olsen in 6th spot. JD Rodriguez and Fabian Newbooth round out row 4, with the top 10 rounded out by Mark Jimenez and Victor Rodriguez. And then we get on to the next page, where it's going to be Andrew Beleg, who's going to line up on row 6 with Seamus Power next to him. Row 7 goes to Aitor Sintes Galindo and Dustin Heroder. Javier Soto lining up at 15th with Helmut Weber in 16th position. Bjorn Ackerman lines up 17th with Guillermo Alvarez at 18th, and Matthew Cockram and Andre Felipe Diaz round out your top 20. And then we get Tobias Roner in 21st and Arnold Koch in 22nd. Ben Summers in 23rd, the last of our qualifiers on row 12. Next to him is going to be Diego Mastretta with Lance Simon, Jose Fernandez, and Christian Diaz, rounding out your 27 GTPs today.
Not sure I can compete with 27 GTPs, but I'll give it a go with the GTOs because Noel Lundberg will lead them off 0.089 ahead of Mickey Friesen, who'll be side by side once again. And then it's Obe Trengerade. A quiet day this afternoon. There's going to be a bit more action him for 3rd. Doug Cloud will be 4th. And Arturus Kundalus will be 5th. Beside him, Andreas Schuster. Jack Wells will be 7th with Josh Brain in 8th. And then Matthias Platz will make his move over here in 9th with Jamie Hamill-Smith in 10th. We get to 11. It's going to be Martin Krejcik, and then Sam Skogard is going to be following him in 12th. Mark Gamak and Joran Van Hixie will be on row 7. Milo Chichari will take 15th. Tim Junk will be 16th. Sam Dillingham will be 17th. Trey Worley, as we saw, will be 18th. That's 18 GTOs. Everyone sets a time in the GTOs today, Adam.
Nice to see Martin Krajcik back racing with us today. The weather out there is fairly temperate. It's only 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 Celsius in the air, 79 degrees Fahrenheit and 26 Celsius on the track. But the big story is going to be both the wind and the humidity. But let's start with the wind. 21 miles an hour out of the east, fairly consistent. That is crazy, Craig.
I'm just having a look out of the east. That is basically a side wind everywhere on this track. Maybe a slight tailwind coming down the back straight after Cito Pons and Drysack, but that is going to be a side wind through basically everything. And actually, the one corner it won't be a side wind. Remember we were talking about the moto layout? Guess where the wind's going to be coming into you? Nose on as you're going through Alex Creville, which is the corner that replaces that chicane on the moto layout.
Yeah, so we expect quite a bit of challenge for the GTPs because they're the ones who tend to get affected by the wind the most. It breaks the car, makes it unstable, and add that to the humidity, which is going to make the track a little bit slicker for these drivers, make it harder for the tires to stick to the track. It's going to be a real challenge for everyone to keep themselves going in the right direction. So expect when the traffic starts coming and you start to see those drivers slipping in between other cars, some of that instability might come to play. So if you see a car sliding off, just remember, these are adverse conditions today. It's hard to communicate that when you're not looking at the trackside, but it's going to be a very challenging environment for these drivers today.
Yeah, it's going to be one that's going to be very talked about. And of course, they don't set these weather conditions, these winds, these temperatures, the humidity. It's all done by iRacing, and whatever they find is the historic data of the track and the day and the region. So we want to keep an eye out for. It wasn't this windy the last time we saw them, as we see the GTOs. They're getting ready. The GTP, this is this back straight. This is where you might get a little bit of a tailwind, but again, it's going to be a little. This isn't perpendicular to the east, Adam, so they're still going to get a little bit of movement somewhere, but you just have to behave when it comes to these straights. Again, you come down to these corners, it's wide enough to make the overtake, but with that wind, what's it going to do to those GTOs?
We're scheduled to have this wind for the duration of the race. It's 2:04 p.m. virtual standard time for these drivers. So the track is going to most likely start to cool off towards the end of this race, just barely, after we cross that 2:20 mark, as the date in sim is reflecting more or less the date that it is in real life right now, early of November. So it's going to be a challenge for these drivers to get going. But the safety car coming out the final bits of the corners. Last minute predictions, Craig.
It is going to be an all-time classic. Look out for Aitor Sinted Galindo. He was fantastic around here last time.
Look out for the battle between Noel Lundberg and Mickey Friesen, our championship leaders in the GTOs. The safety car getting ready to pull off to the right-hand side. It's left as it heads down into pit lane. We don't expect drivers to be using that unless they've got damage. But coming around the final corner, Andres Valenteus at Farron Grau on the front row. And Valenteus is holding up the field. He's going to wait until the flag drops, or he's going to jump early. He jumps now. Farron Grau gets caught unawares, which is not that much of a surprise. Javier Delomo and Brendan Lim trying to put a challenge on Farron. Can't quite do so to turn one. Javier takes it deep. Farron has to give him a little bit of room. That's going to open up the inside of the next corner for Javier Delomo. But let's go back to the GTOs.
In the GTO, that nothing is changed at the moment as they go side by side through there. Here's the GTO, the little bit of carnage in the background. Not entirely sure what happened there. One of the drivers at the back of the field probably made a mistake. You can see Doug Clow having a really good start out there today in this brand new green car, making some moves. Train Ray going to be losing another position there. There's the green car of Arturas Kundalas, just holds on to it, but you've got to feel that something could happen there, just like this. Javier Delomo still battling with Farron Grau out there.
It has been side by side since we left them. Andres Valenteus off to 2.5 seconds of lead because these two, Grau and Del Olmo, could not get separated. But now it's Del Olmo who's taken over the lead, and that wind really starting to affect them. You can see just how much downforce is getting stolen off the front of that car, and Fabian Newbluth has gone around in the GTPs. He's going backwards at this point, falling back to the back of the pack.
I can confirm the spinner was Johan van Hixie. He was the one that spun at the start, got a little bit tagged in the GTOs. So unfortunately, he's got it all to do in the background. We've also seen some other drivers have a bit of a moment. Fabian Youngblood is still going down, but they start to complete their first lap. Up the hill they go one more time. Baron Grau wants to get past Javier Del Olmo. If you are not here, ladies and gentlemen, last week, he put on a clinic to try and battle Valenteus. Now, though, he's battling one man who's trying to get up to Valenteus. It's the champion, Javier Del Olmo.
Absolutely, Del Olmo has some work to do, but he's closed the gap a little bit by 2/10. 2 seconds between himself now and Valenteus in the lead. In the lead of the GTOs, it's tight between Lundberg and Friesen. We're going to take a look at some of the replays from the start of this race, starting with Fabian Newbluth. Let's see what happened to him. Wow, the car just broke out from under him. That's what I was talking about the wind, Craig.
Yeah, that's the wind. Also, maybe a little bit of cold tires as well. Got to be respectful of what could happen there. This is the GTO battle. They're keeping it controlled here. Remember, these are cheese blocks. These are washing machines. They've got a lot of stuff that the wind's going to have to push around, but they do get pushed around. As you can see with the lines Mickey Friesen was taking there compared to Doug Cloud. As they continue to drive on, you've got to feel sometimes getting on the brake. Look at how wide some of these drivers are. They're taking that double apex really late there. You've got to feel that Mickey might have a run here at North.
And Doug Cloud with an excellent qualifying and has gained 1 position since the start of the Nove Trangarade, now up to 3rd position. Usually his qualifying sets him down somewhere in the middle of the top 10, but this time he's up at the front and ready to battle from the very beginning as we ride on board with Trangarade trying to chase down Cloud as Valenteus sets the fastest lap again.
Well, anybody else? Of course it's going to be Valenteus. Valenteus is just a man on a mission no matter what he's in, and he's really just riding that car at a level. And we've seen the last few weeks, the last few seasons, that no one has been able to beat him, but he's been on his biggest challenge ever since. We're on board with Ove Trangarade, looking at this special livery in commemoration for Doug Cloud out there today. Hopefully, green and yellow might be the sign of a new look for Doug.
Absolutely, Doug Cloud putting on a new livery, trying to catch up to those 2 leaders who are absolutely duking it out there up at the front of the field. Mickey Friesen with a little bit of a run on Noah Lundberg, but with the Audis, it's just not long enough and not enough draft to be able to catch up to Lundberg this time around. He tried a late apex, turn 1, can't quite get a late dive into 2, but there's a long way to go. We haven't even had the GTPs come through the field yet.
Well, it's going to happen soon. Do not worry about that as Mickey Friesen goes on. Let's look at this replay. It might be, is it JD Rodriguez? JD Rodriguez in a GTP? Yes, you're not mistaken. Just taking a bit too much speed. I did wonder why there was some tyre marks out on the gravel. Well done to keep that out the wall. He didn't tap the wall, but unfortunately, not much else he could do out there back with Ove Trangarade. That livery for Doug Cloud, it is a tribute livery to the Argentinian driver Agustin Herrera, aka Chipolin. This is a tribute to him, and it's been driven by Doug. I can't remember somebody else as well. I forget the name, I do apologize, but it's out there as a tribute livery today.
Absolutely. Behind them is Condelis with his championship rooftop from last season, trying to chase down our championship leader, Mickey Friesen, who's currently in 2nd position, tucked in behind Noah Lundberg. And the GTOs having some good battles right now, trying to feel out the track. The tires will be warm at this point on lap 3. And the GTP leaders are going to be catching the back of the GTOs this next lap. And the GTOs have not spread out very much at all.
Hello, I did just see Dustin Hirota make a bit of a mistake there. I do, and he's gone off the track there. A little bit of a moment, gets it back going. Here's Aitor Sintet Galindo. Remember I said eyes on Aitor? He's already +5 for the day. He's trying to hold off Dustin Hirota and Seamus Power, and he's doing a real good job at the moment, but what a start. Other people making up 5 places was Dustin Hirota. Bjorn Ackerman making up 6 to start the race. So really good start there for some of these drivers. And like I said, eyes on Aitor. He almost, I can't remember if he almost or he did win the last race around here.
Heitor Santos Galindo in 8th position right now, trying to chase down Mark Jimenez up ahead of him, who's only 1 second behind Laust Olsen and Brendan Lim, who are duking it out with Ivan Platten for the 4th position. So Laust Olsen and Heitor Santos Galindo very much in it for the fight here. But look at this, Ove Trangrade putting some heavy pressure onto Doug. He's going to look to the outside. Doug's going to make a defensive line into the next corner.
Goes to the dry sack, and Doug, he put some smoke on, and so does Ove. And Doug once again is displaying this defensive mentality that he's been showing the last few races, putting the car where he wants to put the car, and he's just making himself a roadblock for all the right reason. Ove tried to make a move. It's so tough. Even that dry sack, it's a hairpin that isn't a hairpin. He did his best, unable to this time, but you've got to feel that everyone thinks Doug might be the cork in the champagne bottle.
IMSA Vintage is an iRacing official series that feels like club racing. Everyone knows each other. There's tons of respect, tons of great driving, everyone being defensive but respectful. This is what makes IMSA Vintage so special. Our GTP leaders are in the thick of the GTO back markers at this stage. It's Jerez Valenteus who's made it up through 14th position, Sam Dillingham, and trying to make a move on Skosgard down the front straightaway. Valenteus, though, his lead continues to increase up to 4 seconds now.
Up to 4 seconds, and I'm just keeping my eye on the rest of the GTP field. You see Javier Del Olmo in the background there. What was his time? It was a second slower than Valenteus. That just goes to show who gets the better of the traffic. And in fact, Ferran Grau now catching up as well. Here's a man we haven't talked about for a while. He's back, and I apologize we didn't get a chance to interview him last time out. But Laust Olsen is here. He started 6th. He's still 6th. He almost got a position there with a mistake from Tachari, but he's catching up to Brendan Lim. Mark Jimenez is right behind, and it has been so long. But to see the yellow and blue back on the track, Adam, it just feels right for IMSA Vintage.
Absolutely. He's getting past here from Jimenez, who's going to make a nice move around the outside there of Van Hixie, who's still trying to recover from that incident. And Laust Olsen is trying to play it conservative right now, trying to survive this first pass through the GTOs. Look at that. That's Jimenez taking it deep. Laust Olsen's going to make the pass back on him from that late lunge.
Yeah, look at Heitor Santos Galindo around the outside, or trying to defend around the outside of Dustin Hirota right behind. You got 5 cars all bunched up here all together all of a sudden. You got Laus, you got Jimenez. Oh, Heitor almost went into the side of Skogard, gets it done, and he's going to try and do this around the outside of Peguili, and Peguili comes now, and he gets that move stuck still from Mark Jimenez, and next corner's going to be Alex Graville. He gets it done. Dustin Hirota's looking on. He's just hoping on a wing and a prayer that everyone survives. Great moves from Heitor, the confidence, and he's going to take it free wide to Laus and almost get past Laus at the Lorenzo.
That's Mark Yamick that they're trying to navigate their way around. Dustin Hirota just hoping, like you said, that everyone makes it through cleanly. Looks like the GTP's starting to do so. The top 10 in the GTOs are going to be their next targets, and the top 10 very bundled together right now. I can report Andres Valenteus is free and clear of the GTO traffic. 5.5 seconds is the lead now.
5.5 seconds, and where the rest of the field is, he's going to be gaining another second definitely. But these battles, no one's gaining any time on anyone at this moment. Seamus Power trying to find his way through Dustin Hirota. It's tough. You get here to Cito Pond, you have to try and go around the outside, but Seamus has committed to the inside. That holds him up. Bjorn Ackerman got held up as well. Now, are they going to look for a move here? I'm not entirely sure. But if Bjorn's going to do it, be late braking to go 3 wide, he can't do it. In front of them, more drivers locking up, and there is Jack Wells with a mistake. They could be going 3 wide here. Oh la la! Bjorn Ackerman takes it. Seamus once again gets himself picked.
Laust Olsen gets passed by Heitor Santos Galindo after locking up the right front, heading into the sharp right-hander after the mid straightaway. Can't quite hold on to the position, but Laus is trying to be consistent this time around, trying to get his feet back under him after being gone for so long. But Heitor Santos Galindo taking no prisoners, and look at this, Brendan Lim getting pushed off track as we ran on board with Dustin Hirota, who just saw that happen up ahead. He's just trying to defend himself, and here he goes on a nice move up the inside of Mark Jimenez again.
He goes for the move as well. Also, Laust Olsen accidentally taps Doug Cloud off the track. He holds on to the position, though. Somehow he held on to that P3. But now you've got Hirota right on the back of Mark Jimenez. He's looking for a move. There is no move. A big wreck in the background. You have just caught it. What has happened?
It's JD Rodriguez and Diego Mistretta, who just had an incident with one of the GTOs. They've now recovered as we continue to see this battle with Hirota trying to hang on to that inside, which is going to become the outside. Look at how loose those GTPs are with the wind. They're stuck in behind our leaders in the GTOs. That was so close. So close as they go by.
Bjorn Ackerman, you have balls of steel, and he's still going around the outside trying to make this work on Jimenez. It's not going to work, but he keeps that speed down. He got the run. He's going to have to look around the outside here and see Topot. No, Drysack, sorry. He's going to have to look for this. Hard braking around the outside. He may not get it. He loses control, and he's going to lose the position to Dustin Hirota. This is IMSA Vintage.
Absolutely stuck together. No one's lifting. Everyone's pushing like it's the last lap, because that's what you do in IMSA Vintage. You fight. You don't think about the rest of the race. Oh no, our leader of the GTOs has been hit. Noah Lundberg has been hit. Mickey Friesen takes the lead of the GTOs. Noah Lundberg got into it with Helmut Weber, and that's going to send him off and behind Doug Cloud. Fortunately, no damage, but that was a massive moment.
He spun around again from another moment. He's gone around a second time from a GT that stopped him. This is the moment with JD Rodriguez you were looking at. He's going to be battling in, gets held up, a little bit of a check up there. He had no choice but to check. He's trying to save that car as much as he can. And one driver trying to avoid him and could not avoid him. Big wreck, as you said. Noah Lundberg is now down in 11th. This is Dustin Hirota. More cars going off the track as well. Maybe there's a little bit of too much excitement out there from the drivers. It feels like they need to just take a cool down for a moment.
Bjorn Ackerman going around in the background. He was the one who was off track earlier, and he's made major contact with the outside wall. That's going to put him into the pits as he's trying to recover now. But what chaos we've got going on. Here's even more battling between Mark Jimenez and Guillermo Alvarez, as it looks like Jimenez is going to get that pass done.
Just as I say, everyone take a calm down. You just start saying that a man's gone off as well. That is what's happening at the moment. Hirota's gone a bit too deep, and Seamus Power's going to get past him, and Andrew Belling is looking like he could make a move as well. Drivers getting really caught out from the Drysack today. Number of times we've now seen drivers try that outside line and not work just due to the camber, and that must be now about 5. This in the GSRC replay is the leader, Noah Lundberg, and that's Victor Rodriguez, and I've got to say, Noel's taken the line there. You've got to respect where the GTO's taken the line. There was never a move there, and then he gets to go again, tries to slow down, almost goes into the back of a GTP that is slowing down for one of the tribute cars. And I've got to say, that first incident, that's on the GTP.
Yeah, the GTP was trying to go around the outside of Noel when Noel was braking, ends up hitting his back, and then still commits to the outside and ends up sending the leader of the GTOs around. That one doesn't earn you a lot of points in the locker room.
No, it's not, and you know that there's going to be a bit of talking about that after the race, and they'll have their gentleman's discussion, but Seamus Power, he's not having a discussion right now. He's just racing. He's got 3 seconds ahead of him is these two. Laus Olsen battling Brendan Lim. And it's been really interesting to see. These two are having a respectful fight. You wouldn't even know they're -2 and -1 respectively. But Laus is giving it all he can. He's got that free space he wanted out of him. Now he doesn't have to be too conservative. He can really start to look at being a little bit more aggressive out there.
Yeah, we know that Laust has, one of the reasons he stepped away was because he felt like he was getting too emotional in the vehicle and it was causing inconsistency. It looks like he's got that under control. He's not pressing for every single position, but now he's got a target. He's got a driver he can fight. It's Brendan Lim up ahead of him, and he's going to put some pressure on Brendan and try and get this pass done.
In the background, Bjorn Ackerman has towed the car. We'll look at that later. Laus Olsen, it's great, though, when you think he had an injury on his motorcycle. He comes back. He has another setback. He has another moment on a motorcycle. Maybe 4 wheels is better than 2, but it's 4 sim wheels over 2 real-world wheels, and he is now trying to push on. And to see him in the top 10, even after all that time, he's still got the pace, but it's now just a case of just having that Zen mentality. It's working for him at the moment. Knock on wood, because Adam, I always feel like we're a curse to Laus.
Absolutely, and the irony being that he comes back when we're driving a moto track. But here is Bjorn Ackerman. You can see he's just loose already, and he just loses it in the corner all by himself. He was already loose after having an off-track moment. The tires were already hot underneath him. He tried to carry the speed through the corners, and with the destabilizing wind we have today, it's no surprise that he had that incident. Noah Lundberg making a move on Matthias Platz as we watch Laust Olsen continue to circulate. He's trying to put that pressure on Brendan Lim, but is now about 8/10 behind. Andrew Bellig makes it past Dustin Hirota for 9th position as we watch the battle between Noah Lundberg and Matthias Platz. Platz on the outside, Lundberg on the inside. Lundberg trying to recover from his lead that he lost. He's now up to 8th position.
24 minutes left in the race. The gap between him and Mickey Friesen is 10 seconds. The gap between him and Doug Cloud is 7 seconds. At the moment, they're lapping identical, is Doug and Noel. Can he get back to a top 5? For the championship, he needs to get back to the top 5. He cannot afford a drop week, especially a drop week like this, when you've got this sort of gap between him and Mickey Friesen. Dustin Hirota, though, he doesn't need to worry too much about championship at the moment. He's just trying to go one place at a time. He's got the trophies he wants. He's not happy with his exit there as he tries to push on for more overtake. But this is such a group right now. You have to wait for that second or third go through the traffic.
A nice move from Andrew Bellick to get himself by Dustin Hirota. Andrew now up 2 positions from his starting spot. The big loser so far is Fabian Jungbluth and Victor Rodriguez. Jungbluth in 14th, he's down 6 positions from a starting spot of 8th. And then Victor Rodriguez is down 8th position in 18th from a starting spot of 10th. Those are the 2 drivers who have lost a lot of positions and given a lot of these drivers the pluses that they're seeing. You can see Hirota adjusting his seating position as he prepares to continue to fight. And it looks like Tim Yonk has had another issue. I couldn't see what it was, but I believe he had a black flag.
Yeah, looked like it may have been a slowdown of some sorts, but Hirota, interesting, right there of all the places, the long, well, not the long, but the back straight, to try and make a seat adjustment in the car. I wouldn't expect them to do that in the real world. You'd be pretty much caught tight in there at the moment. But here's Ivan Platon. I've been keeping an eye on his battle with Ferran Grau out here today. Ferran, he has had some really good racing recently, but it's not been the race he wants to remember so far. Still there in third, he's looking to really fight on, but even hasn't been talked about today. He's +1 for the day. Gonna have to give a real good battle here to Ferran, but remember, 3.5 seconds behind him, very shortly, you'll see Aitor Sintez Galindo, who's looking for his 9th victim of the day.
Absolutely, and these drivers are starting to catch back up into the mid-pack of the GTOs. From about 13th on, the GTOs are pretty well packed together on the track, so it becomes a challenge for our GTPs to snake their way through. Fortunately, they're a little bit more spread out than they were before. Sounds like Andrew Bellick has had an issue.
Andrew Belling's had an issue, and it looks like Emilio Ticciari got taken out as well, and it is just that case. Emilio could not get turned in quick enough to the corner. Andrew had to start turning in at some point, and he got taken out, unfortunately. We'll look at that later on a replay, and that's 2 cars that are out. I think the Chari will continue, however.
Here we go. Yeah, Ivan Platon trying to make that move on Ferran Grau with the help of some traffic. Can't quite do so as they snake their way past Mark Gamick, who's in a very similar paint scheme as we see Noel Lundberg in, so it's easy to get those 2 confused. But Noel Lundberg a little bit further up the track. They're about to get up to him. On the front straightaway as Ferran Grau dives into the corner. So is Ivan Platon. Ferran's going to get held up on the exit of the corner. Fortunately, the Audis have a pretty good corner exit, and Martin Krejcik gets out of the way of Grau. Ivan Platon trying to get a little bit more of a draft. We watch Joram Van Hixie in a battle as well.
Yeah, Van Hixie's trying to get some positions up on the field, doing his best, but he's got to get past Jamie Hamill-Smith after this game past Mark Gamick. And that's not an easy overtaking move. We know how good Jamie Hamill-Smith can be in racing, and this is a track that really does feel like it would suit Jamie out there today. So it's not going to be the easiest of overtakes for Van Hixie, but anything can happen for him. Even Platon, though, continues around. He goes past the number 2 of Noel Lundberg. Emilio Ticciari has towed the car after those incidents, but now even losing a lot of time in the traffic. I did notice, even getting held up there on that final corner, Ferran Grau was able to pull ahead, so it just goes to show.
Those keeping their eyes on Lau Stolzen's progress, he has dispatched Brendan Lim, put him a second behind, and is now trying to fight his way up to Aitor Sintez Galindo. That's going to be a challenge, regardless. But here we go with Fabian Jungbluth. Not the day that he wanted so far. He's back quite a few positions and is now trying to make a pass on Guillermo Alvarez. He's
trying, but it's going to be tough, especially on that line. Alvarez goes for the defense. Very tough to take a defensive line on these fast-flowing corners here through Aspar. But if you can force a mistake, it can happen. And another driver with more twitchiness. And again, you talked about how we saw Bjorn's car was a bit too twitchy. They're set up to be twitchy, Adam. They weren't expecting this high wind today. It's still 20 miles an hour. Was anyone expecting that wind today? No, you can't build a set for the fact that you know what the wind's going to be. So this has really took the drivers out. A little bit of a hit check there on Sam Skogard from Alvarez. That may allow Jungbluth to get the move. It doesn't.
Exactly. So Fabian Jungbluth sticking it on the outside. He's going to try and sweep around the outside of Guillermo Alvarez. Thinks better of it this time around, but Guillermo slow through the center of the corner, holds up Fabian Jungluth. Fabian looking to the inside now. Guillermo's going to open the door for him because the inside becomes the outside around this long sweeping left-hander, and you can see just how much Fabian wanted it. Hung out on the right rear tire and is able to get that pass done as they close up on two of our runners in the GTOs. Here we go. Doug Cloud now in a defense against Ove Trengrade for third.
Well, Doug Cloud's been in a defense for I'm not sure how long anymore. And here's Doug. And he looks like he's actually working a lot more today. I've got to see, this is the most energetic or enthusiastic, or you can tell. You can tell that he's really having to go full focus here at the moment. He doesn't have the big train behind him like it was earlier because of the traffic. But you just know he's keeping his eye. Right, he's by. But behind, is there over 8? No, look at the relative. You'll see some more drivers. Lars Olsen's going right behind him. There he goes. Keeps his eyes focused. Now into the apex. Now look behind again. It is so fully focused at the moment. This, I really feel, Doug's going to make a joke about this if he gets put wide from Hiroda. This really feels the most enthusiastic. Yeah, look at that. He knows he's in a battle right now, and it's not just with the GTOs.
Ove Trengrade, and look at this. Doug tried to cover off the inside to keep Javier Soto from going by. Couldn't quite do it. Ove Trengrade's got to try and sweep around the outside. Doug Cloud, though, clinging to that inside curve with all his worth and powering out that four-wheel drive. Keeps Ove Trengrade behind him. Doug is working out there today.
He really is working. Remember, he's on an H pattern, so he's got to go through the Michelin corner, holding one hand on the steering wheel and one hand on the gear shifter. There he goes. Nice, cool, calm, collected. Ove's trying to look for the move. He can't make it. Mark Jimenez around the outside. Sheamus Power round the outside. They're going to be looking for an overtake very shortly. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Sheamus go for that, but Doug has to go on the defense. I think he's going to be safe. Right behind, though, that's Andreas Schuster.
Absolutely. Sheamus Power right now in a battle himself with Mark Jimenez. Andreas Schuster catching up to the back of Doug Cloud and Ove Trengrade because they've been fairly slow through the traffic as well. But Sheamus Power trying to hold to get this pass done on Jimenez. Can't quite get it done. Look at the gap starting to open up a little bit as they have to adapt to some of the other drivers around track. That was Arturas Kundala's second position in the GTOs.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it goes to show when you look at some of these drivers struggling out there today, it just goes to show the nature. Yeah, he got pushed offline, but he's okay at the moment, not to worry. Sheamus Power continues to fight on. Some of these drivers, they're really not enjoying Jerez from just the standpoint of the track. We talked about it, Doug Cloud's just been hit and gone off the track.
Doug trying to hang on to it. He's going to come back on track. He's going to send it deep. Almost hits Ove Trengrade. And now he's going to be under threat from Andreas Schuster behind. My goodness, Doug's got to be fuming under the helmet in his chair right now.
I think the sweatband may be coming off in anger in a minute because that was not what you wanted. High speed. I get Ferrari is a high-speed corner right before the final corner. However, you have to give the respect. What's the golden rule, Adam, of a GTO? The GTO takes one line and they have to track out. He was not allowed to track out there from the GTP.
Absolutely, and you're told to do that by the community, by all of the convention of multi-class racing. You drive your line as the slower class, and it's the responsibility of the faster class to get by you safely. But the amount of incidents that we see from GTPs being opportunistic and sending it deep into corners, it absolutely causes issues for these drivers. Now we see this battle broken up a little bit. Ove Trengrade is going to try and run away from Doug Cloud, and Doug now has to look in his rearview mirror again at Andreas Schuster.
Yeah, he has to look in front and behind now, which is not what he wanted. He was comfortable looking just behind for the moment. I had to have a chuckle there. We just saw as he got to that back straight, he had a shake of the head. He could finally take a breather. He was not happy at all, and you could see it. I think he held his emotions in check until he got there. But here's Sheamus Power. I'll tell you what, I didn't want to go. I was just looking back at Doug, and Doug almost just got rear-ended by another GTP. We'll get back on track with this, though. Sheamus Power still looking for these overtakes. Can't make it. This is really tough for Sheamus. Remember, he was second in the championship last season, and he's not having the best of ways. I think it's just the nature of the tracks.
Absolutely, and Mark Jimenez with some almost FIA-like defense going on. You could see him posturing the car, trying to keep Sheamus from having an opportunity to take any sort of surprise inside move. Jimenez just focusing on those corner exits, focusing on those defensive entries, trying to keep Sheamus behind. He is on full defense right now. It's 4.5 seconds up to Javier Soto up ahead. There's no reason to look ahead. There's only a reason to look through the 007 cam behind.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a license to kill, but he's got a license to defend, because that's what the FIA says he can do, and he's just trying to find the right opportunities around here just to hold on to whatever lines he can. And Seamus is going to struggle here, because with the way these corners now flow at this final section of the track, it really is a case of look for the mistake. If he gets too early on the throttle and pushes wide, look for the overtake. Through Alex Cavill one more time, no one touching the gravel. Through Ferrari, no one touching. He's going to have to reset and get a good launch out of Lorenzo, and hopefully here he gets something good going. But look how smooth they both are. That's not going to be an opportunity to make an overtake here.
No, unfortunately, it looks like he has a good run, but the straight's just not long enough, and the right-hander is sweeping enough that it keeps him stuck in behind. Unless he gets a great exit out of here, which he does not, he's pretty much stuck behind front of the lap. One other story I want to keep my eyes on, Noah Lundberg and his recovery through the field. He's just made it through Jack Wells due to a misshift from Jack Wells, and he's now up to 6th position. It's 3.5 seconds up to Andreas Schuster. If he can get a top 5 out of today with what happened to him early on, knocking him out of the lead, I think he'll take that.
I didn't think he'd get to the top 5 in 10 minutes. Remember, we talked about it 10 minutes ago where he could go. Absolutely surprised he's managed to do that. In fact, now he can start looking at a podium. He's only 6 seconds behind Ove Trengarade. Yes, I know that means he has to get past Doug Cloud, and we know the battles that him and Doug have had around the Red Bull Ring a couple weeks ago, but never say never. He is in a position where he could look for a top 3 now, and that would be an insane recovery drive.
And with Doug Cloud wrestling with getting punted by GTPs left and right on this circuit, I think that Noah Lundberg has a good opportunity here. This is a battle that has been raging for quite a while. Martin Krajcik leading Joran Van Hixie and Matthias Platz, as the three of them have been duking it out on track for the last couple laps.
You want to talk about comebacks up the track and recovery drives? Joran Van Hixie was last before the green flag got spun around. He's now +4 for the day. If that's not a recovery, I don't know what. And he's almost +5 as he tried to get past Martin Krajcik.
Reminder, +4 for the day for him would be starting 14th. He's now up to 10th. But you have to remember, at the beginning of this race, he was down in 18th position and a good 10-15 seconds off of these drivers he's duking it out with. This is an impressive drive from him, and he's still putting pressure on Krajcik, almost pushing him through the corner.
Well, he's got the Doctor helmet on for a reason. He is putting on a masterclass, and I'm pretty sure the Doctor did very well around Jerez himself. So you've got to feel that he's got some of that power out there, just trying to do what he can just to see where he looks. But now he can calm down. He's not where he wants to be, but he's in the positive numbers. So now he can start to just think a little bit clearer. The mind is clearer. The mind is thinking. He just wants to hold these positions and just hopefully hold on very tight, but it is going to be close. Is that a blown engine I just saw, or was that just smoke?
No, that was just tire smoke from one of the GTOs going through the corner. And as you can see, Matthias Platz in the back of this train. They're about to get caught up by Ivan Platten and Aitor Sintes Galindo. Sintes Galindo's closed the gap to Platten under a second. Aitor up 8 on the day, looking to be up 9 at the end of the next couple of laps. I don't think it's out of realistic expectations that Aitor could get up to the podium today.
It would be absolutely fantastic. Very wide. Excuse me. Did I just say that?
That was decisiveness out there, I gotta say, Greg.
That caught me off a little bit by surprise, but yet there was a little bit of decisiveness, and I know that corner is very indecisive for some of the drivers with the lines you can take, but just look at this defense and just look at these lines. This is what, the 3rd time through the traffic these GTPs have had, and you can just see they are still having different challenges thrown at them.
Yeah, they don't quite... This track has only been raced twice. This is the 2nd time that this track has been raced in the IMSA Vintage series. And the GTPs and the GTOs still haven't figured out where the best places to let each other by are at this point. We're riding on board with Dustin Hiroter right now. He's in 9th position, trying to catch up to Javier Soto, who's in 8th spot. These two are right on the back of Brendan Lim in 7th. Laust Olsen still gapping Brendan Lim, but not catching up to Sintes Galindo. It's about a 10-second gap, so Laust just focusing on that consistency, as we mentioned earlier. Dustin, with a really good run through the sets of course through Ferrari, he's now right on the back of Javier Soto. With the traffic up ahead, he's got an opportunity going into turn 1.
Yeah, let's see what Dustin can do here. Let's see where the cars put themselves. And there is one car, Mark Gamek, who puts himself slightly there, and I don't think he's going to make the move. Is this a bookmarking opportunity? Well, Jamie Hamill-Smith goes a bit too wide, and Dustin, a little bit of hesitation, but he does see the opportunity. He goes on. You just saw the bite of the lip there. I think he realized, oh, was that a little bit too late? Did I make that work? It did work. No one is harmed. No one is foul. And now he's just going to keep on going, but he did lose a couple tenths just because of that move.
And we got to keep our eyes on second position as well. Javier Del Olmo and Farron Grau. As you can see, Javier getting held up by our leader, Mickey Friesen, just a little bit. Javier approaching with a little bit too much speed, had to brake quite a bit into that corner. That puts Farron Grau right in with him. Farron Grau only 3/10 back right now as we close in the last 9 minutes of this race.
Final 9 minutes of the race. It's all happening as well. Brendan Lim, Javier Soto, and Dustin Hiroda off the camera. We're just having a little bit of a moment there, just all battling still together. But Farron Grau, where does he make the move? You've got to feel Javier looking to try and get something out here today, but the fighting is strong. And Javier had a good shot at a victory last time out here, but that was in a GTO, if I recall right,
yes.
Adam.
Yes, it was in a GTO the last time they were here. That was back when he had a championship opportunity. Well, look at this. Javier Soto and Brendan Lim side by side. And here comes Hiroder to make the pass on Brendan Lim as Brendan got sent out wide. Now Hiroder's got to make a decision on how he's going to try and get past Soto as they sneak past Jack Wells. Look at this. Brendan Lim fighting back on the inside. But that sweeping mover on the outside allows Hiroder to get by.
Yeah, and I'm sure if Javier Soto, he is a streamer, he probably just got that on his clip highlights as well, because that was a fantastic trust move there from Javier Soto to make that move stick and to go up those positions. And now he is trying to play getaway at the moment to see what he can do. Brendan Lim looking hard for an opportunity. It's not there at the moment. Wide again goes Dustin Hiroda. You're not missing anything elsewhere, but I do want to just point out there, that gap between Valenteas and Del Olmo is 11 seconds. That is the sign of an alien.
Absolutely, and our leader in the GTOs, Mickey Friesen, 2 seconds between himself and Kundos. Kundos has been able to close the gap just a little bit in the last couple laps. We'll keep our eyes on that as well as we get in towards the last bit of the race. But closing in on 7 minutes to go, so we continue to watch this battle between Hiroder and Soto as Brendan Lim takes it deep on Doug Cloud to try and get by. Loses a little bit of time to the two up ahead, but they're going to be dealing with their own traffic here before we get to the end of the front straight.
Yeah, they got more traffic up ahead. There's going to be a couple cars right before the window. That's Obi Traeger in the wall. That's Obi Traeger in the wall. And that's another incident at Ferrari with another top-running GTO.
This one was weird. This one, once again, the GTP just absolutely taking it to the inside, not expecting the GTO to turn in. I don't know where they expected it to go.
But, I mean, the GTO's got to turn in at some point. The GTO has to turn in at some point, and Ove's already turning in. What did we say, Adam? Once they take a line, they can't deviate from the line. Here's the replay.
It happens so fast, it's almost impossible to see, but here comes Ove Trengrade. He's just going to take his normal line and absolutely sent.
He has to turn in. Yeah. I'm not playing devil's advocate. I'm sorry. At some point, no matter what the multi-class is, that slower car has to turn in. And that was the turning point. And that is such a weird incident.
It's rough work right now for these drivers as Andreas Schuster trying to close this gap once again on Doug Cloud. This is for the podium. Doug, Andreas Schuster, and Noah Lundberg. Lundberg has gotten there. He is in fighting contention in the last 6 minutes of this race. It is going to be close to see whether or not he can get himself up to the podium positions.
Well, never say never, but that's really crazy what's happened out there as well. I can actually report Jack Wells has gone around somewhere as well. Oh, he's got heavy damage. Don't tell me he's had another motor of a GTP. He unfortunately has. That's such a shame. Victor Rodriguez also gone around as well. And here's a GSRC replay. This is Ove Trengrade again. Great look there. He's already turning in. Yeah, we don't need to see any more of that. He's already turning in.
So unfortunately for him, that's the end of his race. That takes him out of third position. Doug Cloud just got passed by Andreas Schuster, and Noah Lundberg is now in a position to try and make that move as well as they go onto the front straightaway. So Schuster getting right past Doug Cloud, making it an easy move. Noah Lundberg's got to get past Doug quickly, and that's a challenge. Doug Cloud, though, has been absolutely taken advantage of by some of our GTP drivers in the past. But look at this. Doug already making defensive motions against Noah Lundberg. We know how strong these two were in their fight at the Red Bull Ring. Let's see whether or not Noah Lundberg can cure that and get past Doug quickly.
Well, Doug's not being defensive for a purpose. He's got a black flag. He's trying to serve a slowdown here. And I don't know if he can serve it in time. This could be a drive-through for Doug Cloud. And this is not a drive-through for penalties, I think. I think this is actually a drive-through for incident, not for incident. This looks like a slowdown penalty that he's not served. Doug has to serve a black flag here, and I don't think he's got the time to. He's just going to be battling this. No matter where he finishes, he'll have to serve a 60-second penalty.
Well, that's going to be heartbreaking. That's going to take him, Doug Cloud, that'll take him well back down to 15th or so, down to about 15th position. So, oh man, it's going to be a decision for Doug as to whether he does fight Noah Lundberg or whether he lets him by. But, I mean, with the history these two have, I would say that he's probably going to fight it.
And Adam, I hate to say it, do you want to know where he got that 1x that gave him the incident? It was actually incident points. You want to know where it was? Ferrari. No, he didn't. Oh, my word. And Noah straight away apologized that I don't think he realized Doug was slowing down. It has not been Doug's day at Ferrari. It has not been any GTO's day at Ferrari.
Ferrari just the graveyard. Halloween was just a couple days ago, but it has been an absolute disaster, and there is Doug. That is the look of a man who has had more than enough incidents with other vehicles today.
That is a defeated man, and it pains me to see that because I know exactly how he feels in there. It pushes Noah Lundberg up to 4th. I mean, with Doug having to serve that black flag elsewhere, Noah would have got to P3. Aitor Sintes Galindo is looking to try and get P4 as well. And he is battling even Platon out there. And I do apologize if people think I'm being a little bit biased and one-sided to the GTOs. However, it takes two to tango around here, Adam. And some drivers are trying to foxtrot, while the others are trying to do the Paso Doble.
Absolutely. And Aitor Sintes Galindo trying to do a little bit of a jig of his own on even Platon, trying to get past him and get up to that 4th position. Podium's not in the cards unless we have another incident from our drivers up ahead, which is not unheard of. We've just seen 3 incidents in the course of 2 minutes, but we're into the last 2 minutes of this race. And Andres Valenteus, I believe he's going to be coming up on the penultimate lap for him. It's going to be close to see whether or not he makes it to the line in time to take 2 more laps or just 1. We'll keep our eyes on that as we see this GTP battle continuing between Galindo and Platon.
Yeah, they've still got traffic to go around. I think it'll be 1 lap after this when Valenteus takes this move. That's a move. That's a late, weird Joker lapse there from Ivan Platon. Trying to keep on. He's got Mark Gamick there. Aitor will get the better line around the inside here, but now the outside through this corner, and that allows Aitor to make a decent run. He's had to go on the defense as Platon. Can Aitor try and hold this around the outside? It's going to be tough. He isn't. He can't even get the switchback. He gets a slide on throttle. That's going to overheat the tires. That's going to be a little bit of a problem for him.
Aitor wanted the inside, but unfortunately he just got a little bit picked by Jamie Hamill-Smith, even Platon taking the inside defensively. And it's still close between Farron Grau and Javier Delomo, not quite as close as this battle that we're seeing right now. Valenteus on the penultimate lap, just going down the back straight now. He's got some time before he crosses the stripe, though.
Yep, still got some time. And I believe the drivers will know that they're going this distance just due to where it is. Got to keep an eye on this though, because Platon's got a bit too wide, and this is going to be 1 free wide. This could be 2 free wides. It isn't. It is now just 2 and 2, and Aitor cannot look for the move. That's a slow entry. He's looking for an over-under, but again, goes wide at the dry sack, and unfortunately loses that momentum. He's going to have to try and do it all over again, but there's only 1 lap left.
Unfortunately for Arturas Kundalis, there's no opportunity for him to pass Mickey Friesen. I believe Andres Valenteus is coming around for the white flag, and is Friesen going to take it as well? Oh, I don't know. I believe Friesen might have taken it. Yes, so Friesen takes the white flag, so does Valenteus, so it's going to be white flag for all the drivers this time by.
I didn't want to bring it up, but remember, Mickey Friesen has yet to win a broadcast race. I'm leaving it there, and I'm knocking on wood. That's all I'm saying, Adam.
go. Mickey Friesen, who's been very consistent over the course of this race. He had a fight with Noah Lundberg earlier, but unfortunately Noah Lundberg getting sent by a GTP. And oh my goodness, we've had another incident in the GTOs as one of the drivers comes into the pits. Dustin Hiroder into the pits in the GTP, so he's come in for a pit stop from 8th position, unfortunately. So that sends him back in the field quite a bit. Mickey Friesen. Was that for fuel, Craig?
I think it's for fuel.
Oh.
Yeah, it was for fuel.
This season has had so many of these moments where we've gone in that extra lap. Andres Valenteus, though, on his final lap, 10 seconds ahead of Del Olmo. He's given back some time over the course of the last couple laps, possibly realizing he was going to need to save some fuel. But Andres Valenteus, through the final couple of corners, ever since the start of the race and the battle between Del Olmo and Grau, this has been Valenteus' race. He was out 2.5 seconds at the end of the first lap. He'll finish the race with 10.5 seconds to the good. Valenteus takes the win here at Jerez.
Javier Del Olmo's just going to get by Ferenc Grau, and he will win that, because right between the two of them, for the first time, and I feel happy enough to say it, Mickey Friesen is a GTO winner on the GSRC broadcast, and that is going to be a well-popular victory in the paddock.
And well on his way to a GTO championship. This is going to stretch that lead. Noah Lundberg, though, up to P4 on the day for him. Here's that battle. Seamus Power trying to put some pressure onto Javier Soto up ahead, who's right behind Laus Olsen, but Laus is going to hang on to P6. Soto 7th and Seamus Power in 8th position.
I can actually report Dustin Hiroder, he needed fuel, but then on his in-lap, he also picked up incident points. So he needs to serve a black flag. I don't think he's going to be able to. He's going to lose a couple more positions when the race is done. Jack Wells recovers in that tribute livery. There's one of the drivers. In fact, Hiroder is going to serve that black flag on the final lap. I don't think it will count, though, due to the rules. That is such a sad way to end, and nobody wants that, to take a fuel stop and take a black flag stop.
What a race we had today. You're right about being a classic, Craig, and that's going to take us to our standings. Andres Valenteus, the only one with more or less of a boring day, 11 seconds to the good over Javier Del Olmo, taking the victory. Ferenc Grau is going to finish in the 3rd position, just behind Javier Del Olmo, and that was a tight battle towards the end of that race, and it was tight from the very beginning of the race, too. Even Platten in 4th position with Aitor Sintes Galindo tucked in behind him in 5th, not that far back. Laus Olsen in 6th spot, only 18 seconds back of Aitor Sintes Galindo over the course of the day. Javier Soto able to get right back up to the back of Olsen, but not able to get by. Seamus Power in 8th position, and Brendan Lim down in 9th, with Mark Jimenez rounding out the top 10. Fabian Newbluth on a recovery drive for him gets himself to 11th position, with Guillermo Alvarez in 12th. Helmut Weber's going to finish in 13th spot, with Dustin Hiroder, after all of his penalties, according to our unofficial results, in 14th spot. Though he's the last driver on the last lap, or on the lead lap rather, with Matthew Crocker mid 15th, Andre Felipe Diaz 16th, Arnold Koch, Tobias Roner, Lance Simon, and Ben Summers rounding out your top 20 rather, with Jose Fernandez, the last GTP to finish who did not have major issues, with Victor Rodriguez having trouble late, Andrew Belleg having trouble early, as well as Bjorn Ackerman, Christian Diaz, JD Rodriguez, and Diego Mistretta.
Well, to the GTOs, and Mickey Friesen is on the top for the first time on broadcast. He gets the win over Arturas Kundalis, who comes home in 2nd. And there's Andreas Schuster in 3rd. And Noel Lundberg with a recovery drive of epic proportions there in 4th. Josh Brain is in 5th. And Johan Van Hixie, I think an even bigger recovery drive. He was last before the green flag after getting spun out. +8 for the day in 6th. Martin Krajcik +4 will finish 7th, and Matthias Platz will be 8th, with Jamie Hamill-Smith in 9th, and Mark Gamonk in 10th. And as we get to the second page, Sam Skogard will start the second page off in 11th, with Jack Wells in 12th, and then it's Sam Dillingham in 13th. Trey Worley finishes on the same lap in 14th, and then Tim Junk, who had an issue out there, Doug Cloud, who we unfortunately saw what happened, as with Ove Trengarade, and Emilio Ticciari retired 15 laps down after other incidents.
And that's going to take us to our interviews. The first interviewee is going to be Mickey Friesen with his first win on the broadcast, and he's going to be talking with Craig King.
Well, Mickey, we've been waiting for this. How does it feel to finally get on the winning top stand on a broadcast?
I didn't think it was gonna happen, honestly. I thought I was just gonna perennially get second place. And I was not expecting it to happen here. I didn't think I really had the pace, but Noel had that issue with the Nissan, and I just managed to just hold the gap the rest of the way.
Let's address the elephant in the room then. Let's talk about the traffic out there today. It looked torturous from where we was when we were watching out here, and you did mention the moment with Noel out there as well. What was it like in the driver's seat to just see all those GTPs coming by you at those speeds?
It was just kind of holding on, and when you kind of get a sense for when a Nissan's going to do something stupid after a certain amount of time driving the car. And so just giving as much space as possible when you see it coming, and then just hoping for the best.
I know you're chuckling at that. It is actually a really good tip for anyone driving the slower car in any sort of multi-class. Just you get to learn where they're going to go. So don't worry, I understand where you're coming from. That so that has to feel good. But also, what has to feel good is your first win. Next week we go to a brand new track. It's a flat track. I mean, what are you expecting? Are we going to see another Mickey Friesen victory?
Honestly, I have not seen a single second of racing on the track. I don't even know the layout, so I'll have to put in some practice and learn the track. I think in the past I've had some of an advantage on new tracks because everyone's on the same playing field with track knowledge. So hopefully I'm up there at the front. We'll see if I can get the back-to-back.
Imagine if this is like the London buses. You wait for 1-2 come. Anything can happen out there. I know you're going to have family watching this. People are going to be watching this. You've got the victory. It's only fair. The floor is yours for any shout-outs you would like to give.
Yeah, I have to shout out my mom taught me how to drive. So she's the reason I'm here. And also a big shout out to Emerson Gaudin for the paint that I run every week, and the community in general. When I got into sim racing, it kind of started getting boring, and I only stuck around with it once I found this community. And of course, to you guys, I look forward to watching the broadcast every week. I'm watching it, and I know exactly what's about to happen, but I'm still on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, no, I get that as well when I watch it, but don't worry, we all get that. Mickey, congratulations on the first victory on the broadcast. We look forward to seeing more of these victories later on. Until then, have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you later. That, Adam, was our winner, Mickey Friesen. I believe you've got a man we've been wanting to hear from in months with you right now.
Absolutely. Laust Olsen is joining us once again. Laust, it's been a while since we've had you up here in the booth. We know the recovery has been long and grueling, but a P6 today, that's got to feel pretty good on the way back, and having a nice battle with Brendan Lim early on in the race as well. Talk to us about your race today.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, it's really good to be back. It's been a long time waiting to be able to race again, so I'm so happy to be back. Yeah, I think I lost a couple of positions in the start of the race, and then was spending some time behind Brendan. Had a issue with overheating my rear tires when I was too close to him, and lost some pace and couldn't quite keep up. But then I think I don't remember what, he made a mistake or had some problems with traffic, I'm not sure, but then I was able to go by him, and the rest of the time was trying not to lose too much in traffic and keeping a small gap to those behind. But it was quite hard on, or what should I say, mentally tiring to try to manage the traffic and the gap to those behind. It's a tough track traffic-wise.
Absolutely. And this isn't a question we get to ask that often, so I wanted to bring it up. After being away for a couple of months, jumping back into the sim, there have been updates over the course of that time. Does driving the car feel any different, or any adjustments that you've had to make being away that long?
I think I lost a little pace. Just not, being 100%. I think, and also I feel like some of the other guys I used to race against have stepped up a little bit during this time, and especially some people who have stepped up a lot. Brendan is one of them, I believe. So it's been quite tough finding myself further down the field than I maybe was used to before my accident.
Well, Laust, it's been amazing to see you out there today. A top 10 and a very consistent pace over the course of the race. Even though you may have felt like you lost a little bit of pace, coming back, it's got to feel good to get a good one under your belt. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to thank the community. It's an awful, not awful. It's a great bunch of guys to race against, and I want to thank you guys for the great broadcast you always do. I think that's it.
Well, Laust, it's great to see you back. We hope to see you back again in the future, and thanks for coming to talk to us today.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Laust Olsen, who finished in 6th place in the GTPs, and now we have got Aitor Sentes Galindo finished just ahead of him in 5th position. Aitor, not quite enough time to get even platinum, but a great race for you regardless, up 8 positions from your starting spot. So not necessarily the qualifying you're looking for, but you made up for it.
Absolutely, yes. I was so frustrated with qualifying, because in Jerez you cannot afford to do a bad qualifying, and I was P13 and I drove like a man possessed, like doing insane moves all over. I hopefully got a couple of them on camera, but yeah, it was an eventful race. Well, let's just say the first half of the race was eventful. Then I had tried to catch to Platten, and I caught him, but didn't get so lucky with the traffic. So regardless, good race today. A top 5, 16 points. Dustin, I think, finished with 9 points, so it's a +7. So leading the championship again. So happy week today.
Absolutely, trading back and forth with Dustin over the course of the season. It's one extra race in this season, the 13-week season. First time we've had that in about a decade, I believe. But does that affect how you think about these races, or are you just taking it one race at a time?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say that one race at a time, because it's it's a long season. If it's a 13-week season, then even more so. I think we don't have extra drop weeks, bro, so it's even more challenging. But so far, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it works so far. Today, I had a quick car thanks to Ferran's setup. So but still it had to be 1/10, 2/10 faster to catch up to the fastest guys. So I will still have to improve a bit and hopefully get a better result next week.
Well, Aitor, a top 5 still is a great finish, especially considering qualifying. And is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Well, just you guys for the broadcast, family, friends watching, community. Thanks everybody. See you next week at was it Saxon? Yeah, Saxon Ring. Oh dear, this is gonna be interesting. All right, see you next week.
Our thoughts exactly. That was Aitor Sentes Galindo, top 5 today in the GTPs, and that's gonna finish us out for the day. I want to give a huge shout out today to the team, Craig, Christian, and Dougie. And make sure to check out our social media website and merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next race, it's a new track and a new time. It's going to be Sachsenring. That's November 9th at 12 p.m. Eastern. Yes, that's right. In the States, we do have daylight savings time, so keep that in mind. 12 p.m. Eastern next week. And be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here on your screen. We hope you've enjoyed joining us today as much as we've enjoyed bringing this racing to you. We hope to see you back again soon. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
Wow.